Hello everybody, this is General Yanis, and today in Death Card Tactics I will be looking at the first Codex reviews that have been posted online, some leaks from the Codex, and I will be focusing on a smaller part of everything that has been revealed. Basically Warlord Traits, our Detachment Abilities, and then Plague Marines and Blightlord Terminators, the Wargear options that were quite a big debate in the forums earlier today. But let's get started. So finally today the long wait has been over. So 16th of January, finally pre-order date has arrived, and I managed to pre-order the Codex, and I was carried away, and I also ordered a Miasmic Malignifier. So I think the Miasmic Malignifier terrain, I think it will be helpful, but even if it's not, maybe I wouldn't mind having a bit more terrain pieces for my games at home. So did you also manage to pre-order what you were after? And yeah, did you succeed in ordering what you wanted? Also today we saw the first previews of the Codex from those able to get them in advance, as well as leaked rules and leaked pages from the codexes. So I will look at detachment abilities, common abilities and core units, warlord traits, and then the Plague Marines and Blightlord Terminators, their Wargear options. So before taking a look, my wish for the channel is hopefully we can continue grow this channel with your help, so I could be considered to be able to get the codexes in the future for previewing, and then I could have much better analysis for you quickly after being allowed. But let's take a look at what we have seen so far, trying to summarize it for you. Okay, so starting with the detachment abilities for the death card, we get the inexorable advance, and this is all bubonic started units get the inexorable advance if they are in purely death card detachments. But this, for example, excludes poxwalkers and cultists and other, let's say not bubonic Astartes death card units. And the inexorable advance has been reviewed and revealed by Warhammer community, so units count as having remained stationary if they did not fall back or advance. For example, this could affect the shooting for malicious volleys for the bolters. The significant good thing about the inexorable advance is that the vehicles can shoot point blank their cannons and their guns, etc., with no penalty for the heavy weapons. So this is very good. And our infantry, they can ignore all modifiers to move characteristics, advance rolls, and charge rolls when we have the inexorable advance. And then a new ability, or a new, let's say, class or keyword called Furtive Virions. So our elite characters, our elite supportive characters like the Plague Surgeon, the Tallyman, the Foul Blightspawn, etc., they get the Furtive Virion keyword, and this rule says that you can take 3 of those and fill only 1 elite slot. And if you want to bring a lot of Terminators and Possessed, then you, if you are running out of elite spots, this is quite good to bring. Instead of, if you can bring quite a lot of supportive characters and only fill 1 slot. And then apart from the Furtive Virions, we have some new abilities, but basically those are just restrictions. So first of all, we have the Deceased Minions, and this says that we can only take as many Poxwalker units as we have core infantry bubonic Astartes units. For example, Plague Marines and Blightlord Terminators and Death Shroud Terminators and Possessed, basically. So basically we cannot build a heavy list of poxwalkers if we don't have enough of the other units. So you cannot make, now this stops any list from, for example, having poxwalkers and demon engines. So in my opinion, this is very not very good, and why shouldn't we be able to build and experiment with the lists? The same thing is also valid for the cultists. You can only take as many cultists again as you have core infantry bubonic Astartes units. So restrictions from taking, let's say, the cheaper troops, basically this is all it is. So I'm yeah, not very happy about this. Not because I think for the list I typically play, this would not impact me negatively, but I think it's like, why shouldn't I be able to make some completely different list to try out? All right, and then we have another one that's also quite severe. I think this is called Infernal Jealousy, and this states that we can only have one Demon Prince per detachment and only one unit with a Lord of the Death Guard keyword per detachment. And basically this is all our HQ apart from the Plaguecaster and the Sorcerer have this keyword. So Lord of the Death cards are Lord of Contagion, Lord of Virulence, Chaos Lord. We have the Demon Prince as well. So this is really restricting us in choosing HQ units. So we cannot take two Demon Princes, or we cannot take a Lord of Contagion with a Demon Prince, etc. Again, very strange. Why do we need these restrictions? We already have the detachments telling us that we can, for example, not only take demon engines, we need to take HQ, we need to take troops, but why to put restrictions on top of this? So this will make the possible lists less variable and less interesting and less strategy involved in choosing a list. So basically, if you take a Demon Prince, then you can forget all of your other units, the HQ. You can only take, let's take a Sorcerer or a Plaguecaster on top of that. So not very big fan of the Deceased Minions and the Infernal Jealousy. Additionally, it's the Codex says, the Detachment Abilities, they say that only the Poxwalkers and the Plague Marines have objective secure. So basically the cultists are not getting objective secure. So if you would take a small unit to hold the backfield objective, they don't have the objective secure, so it loses a lot of the value of, for example, the cultists. And why? Yeah, now the cultists are even less interesting to take for Death Guard players. Also, what is missing is Hateful Assault and Death to the False Emperor are all gone. So the Hateful Assault, basically we have been getting more attacks in the stats of the units, but we have also now lost additionally the Death to the False Emperor. That was quite a fun mechanic against Imperium and Space Marines that we often meet on the battlefield. And we still have the 7 plague companies. And then going now, moving over to the Warlord traits, a lot of the Warlord traits have been rewritten. So first of all, the Revolting Resilience, which we knew had to change because previously it was improving the 5++ Feel No Pain Disgusting Resilience, but the Revolting Resilience now is indeed a 5+++ Feel No Pain. So hooray, we still have the old nice Death Guard Feel No Pain for at least one model in our the Warlord in our army will be able to have the true disgusting resilience that we know. Then the Living Plague is an aura, and the Living Plague has been changed, and it states that enemies within 3 inches of this Warlord cannot be affected by aura abilities from their army. So for example, if there is they cannot benefit from some of their own auras, for example, to reroll, or some other auras that benefit those units if the Warlord is within 3 inches. And then Hulking Physique is also changed, so it gives +1 wound for the Warlord, and additionally unmodified wound rolls of 1 to 3 always fail against this model. So this is quite nice. For example, it could be nice for a Warlord that isn't so tough, for example, toughness 5 Chaos Lord, then even the big guns cannot wound him on a 2+ or a 3+. Here they will only be wounding on a 4+. The Arch Contaminator, which is one of the favorite and one of the best, mostly used Warlord traits, has been changed significantly, and basically it's a nerf. So now the Arch Contaminator says that the core unit within 6 inches of the Arch Contaminator can reroll the wound rolls in melee with plague weapons. Also the unit can reroll ranged attacks with plague weapons only if they are shooting an enemy within 12 inches. So they cannot, for example, you cannot reroll the Plague Marines shooting at 24 inches with the Blight Launchers. Then you cannot reroll the full wound roll. So this is quite a big nerf, and basically core unit, it only affects those 5 units I mentioned before. So I think we will see a bit more, choosing some of the others more than we will just get the Arch Contaminator by default. It was very good to have Arch Contaminator before. Now it will be much more limited use. Then we have the Rotten Constitution, also has been a bit changed. So here we have +1 toughness for the Warlord, and attacks with AP -1 and AP -2 are treated as AP 0. And this could be, for example, nice for the Demon Prince, increasing his toughness, and basically small arms fire. Then he will always be saving with his full armor save. And then there is a new one, Foul Effluence, which is also an aura. So enemies within 6 inches of the Warlord at the end of the death card movement phase roll d6, and then for a 4+, it gives them a mortal wound, 1 mortal wound. And remember that Mortarion has 3, so he already has the Revolting Resilience, the Living Plague, and the Arch Contaminator, plus that he has a choice from a Plague Company trait. So this is really good, especially Mortarion. I definitely think of building some lists with Mortarion in mind, because now he will have the 5+, Feel No Pain, and the new Disgusting Resilience, reducing the damage that he takes. So let's look at the Plague Company traits. So the Plague Company Warlord traits are all basically contagions, the new rules that we have with contagion range. The Harbingers, which are very Poxwalker and Typhus focused, they have the contagion Shamble Rot, and non-vehicle enemies within contagion range of the Warlord at the start of the opponent's movement phase get 1 mortal wound on a 4+. If it's a 6, they get D3 mortal wounds, and if it's a character, it has a -1 modifier to the dice roll to get the mortal wound. In the Inexorable Plague Company, the contagion Warlord trait is Ferric Blight. When enemies within contagion range of the Warlord are being attacked by an inexorable unit, improve the AP by 1. And then Mortarion's Anvil, the Gloaming Bloat, has changed. So enemy units within contagion range of the Warlord cannot overwatch, they cannot set to defend, and they cannot reroll hit and wound rolls. So this could be quite interesting if you can get your Warlord to with a large contagion aura to stop your enemies from using a lot of rerolls. The Wretched have the Eater Plague, and when enemies within contagion range of the Warlord are attacked by Wretched units, an unmodified 6 to hit automatically wounds. So this could be quite good for example, for bolter fire or other fire that has difficult to wound and low strength maybe. So this can be quite good. And then Poxmongers has also changed. So the Sangus Flax Warlord trait, enemy units within contagion range will have -1 leadership and have -1 to combat attrition tests. Again, nothing super fancy here. And then the Ferrymen, they have the droning, and this is quite good. So enemy within contagion range at start of movement phase will have its movement halved for the rest of the turn. So this could be very good, for example, for Mortarion. If he has this, then the enemy cannot run away from him, or it could be quite okay to limit the opponent's movement if your Warlord comes close to that, to give them this contagion. Finally, Mortarion's Chosen Son, the Plague Company, has the Nurgle's Fruit contagion. An enemy within contagion range cannot benefit from cover. And the other named character, Typhus, his standard Warlord trait is Shamble Rot. And as I said, Mortarion can get the 3 I told before and 1 from these Warlord traits. Now, moving over to the Plague Marines and the Wargear options. Now it seems that it's confirmed that we can only take up to 10-man squad. We cannot have 20-man squads anymore. The Plague Champions Wargear options are quite similar to what we have today. So basically he can replace his bolter with either a bolt pistol, a plasma gun, or a plasma pistol, and he can take a power fist, and then he can replace his plague knife with a demonic blade. And the demonic blade seems to be something new. We have to we haven't double checked the stats for this weapon. Previously he could change it to the plague sword. And then if we go to the plague marines, the plague marines are standard as normal today. They are the standard weapons are the bolter with a plague knife, and the plague marines can now replace their bolter. One plague marine in the squad can get a blight launcher, replacing the bolter. One plague marine can get one plague spewer, and in a group of 10, one additional marine can take either a blight launcher or one plague spewer. And then 1 in 5 Marines, on top of all this, 1 in 5 Marines can get either a melta gun, a plasma gun, or a plague belcher. And then for the melee weapons, 1 in 5 can get the bolter and have a double knives. 1 in 5 can replace the bolter with a biotic axe. 1 in 5 can replace the bolter with axe plus mace. 1 in 5 can replace the bolter with a flail, and 1 in 5 can replace the bolter with a great plague cleaver. So basically, there is a big change from the Wargear that we had previously. And basically now we can fill a lot of special weapons in the squad, but they have to be different pretty much, not too many of each type. So in a squad of 10, we can have 2 of each. For example, we can have 2 flails in a squad of 10. And but if we keep below 10, then we can, for example, we cannot take 2 flails if we have a squad of 7, but we can take a flail, a plague cleaver, we can take a guy with a melta gun, we can take a guy with blight launcher, etc. So we will have more a mixed hodgepodge group of Marines with different weapons, pretty much like they are shown here, but the guys are different. But you can no longer, for example, make a group with only double knives. So some of the things that we were able to make melee, double knives or double biotic a lot of biotic axes, we cannot do that anymore. So some example squads in a squad of 5, we could have the champion. One guy has the flail, 1 blight launcher, 1 melta, 1 cleaver, for example, is fully valid now. And in a bigger squad, for example, a 10-man squad, we can have 2 flails, 2 cleavers, 2 double knives, 2 biotic axes, and 1 plasma gun, for example. So quite interesting that we can get more variety of the plague weapons on the squad, but a bit unfortunate that, for example, if we take a nice Nurgle squad of 7, we can only have 1 of each of these special weapons. And I guess somebody else has commented that with a lot of weapons, if we plaster them with different weapons, dice rolling will be quite difficult, or will take a lot of time to roll all the different dice for the different weapons. And then if we go to finally, if we go to Blightlord Terminators and their Wargear options, first of all, let's confirm that the Blightlord Terminators are still keeping their 4+ invul save, together with our, for example, Typhus and Lord of Contagion, Lord of Virulence, and the Deathrod Terminators. Our Cataphractii armor still has the 4+ invul save, so it's a big hooray for those units. And they are a core unit, a Bubonic Astartes unit. And we see something similar that we saw with the Wargear options for the Plague Marines. We see with Blightlord Terminators. The standard is the Combi Bolter and the Bale Sword, and then you can substitute Bale Sword and Biotic Axe as you want. And now there is a difference in the Wargear options. 1 in 5 can replace the Combi Bolter with a Combi Flamer. 1 in 5 can get a Combi Melta. 1 in 5 can get a Combi Plasma, and 1 in 5 can replace the Combi Bolter with either a Blight Launcher or a Reparato Cannon, and 1 in 5 can replace the Combi Bolter with a Plague Spewer, and 1 in 5 can replace the Combi Bolter and the Sword with the Flail of Corruption. So again, you can take a lot of special weapons for each 5, but now you cannot, for example, take the Combi Meltas, for example, or Combi weapons were freely interchangeable before, and now they are restricted. So you cannot have 4 Combi Meltas in a squad. but you can, for example, now it's allowed. You can have the Plague Spear and the Reaper Autocannon. This what they were selling in the box, you couldn't basically have before. You couldn't have a Plague Spear and the Reaper Autocannon, but now you can have what they show on the box. So some summary and final thoughts. A lot of good reviews out there from the early Codex receivers. Already there are some of the first, let's say, battle reports online showing with the new rules. There is a lot of good stuff, a lot of interesting new rules, but also a lot of things that I personally don't like. I still believe that the death card will be playing nicely on the board and that we will adapt and find nice new strategies. However, what I least like so far is the unnecessary restriction for how we can build our list and to make detachments. So basically, as the rules are stated today, if you want to have 2 HQ choices to make a battalion, one must be a Plaguecaster or Sorcerer, because the others cannot cooperate. You cannot have a Lord of Contagion and a Demon Prince. You cannot have if you have Typhus, you cannot have Typhus and a Chaos Lord or something like this. So why are those restrictions there? I don't think they add nicely to the gameplay. Additionally, we have also the limitations for how to take Poxwalkers and Cultists. Poxwalkers and Cultists don't get so many of the benefits. For example, they are not core units. They are not benefiting from the auras. They don't get inexorable advance, etc., etc. I could understand nerfing their power and so on, but again, why impose restriction on how many you have to take? Interesting changes to Warlord Traits. The Arch Contaminator has been nerfed, so we probably have to look to other alternatives and try to find some other nice builds. Not so good that we only have very few core units in our codex, only 5, and we have changes to our Plague Marines and Blightlord Terminators Wargear, and this will allow for many more special weapons in the squads and basically more variety of the special weapons in the squad. You can no longer take a small squad and put, for example, 2 Flail of Corruptions in a 5 squad of Plague Marines, but in a squad of a small squad of Plague Marines, you can have a lot of various special weapons there. And very importantly, I think Mortarion will now, we can see he will have the the true disgusting resilience, the 5+. So I think I have to start creating some list around Mortarion now. But then again, if I need to have a battalion, I need to take 1 Plaguecaster, that's for sure, and maybe one Demon Prince, and let's see what I'll try to make a list. So this concludes the video. What do you think about the reviews out there, and what do you think about the analysis here? What do you feel about the restrictions and some of the other rules? And are you happy about the new Wargear options for the Plague Marines and the Blightlords? And are you also happy, like I am, that the Blightlords kept their 4+ invul save? So if you like this video, please press like, leave some comments, subscribe to the channel, where I will be posting more analysis and review of the death card tactics. So with these words, General Yanis is signing out. Stay safe out there, and bye bye.